another extraordinary woman, an editor at Thomson Reuters and president of the Newswomen's Club of New York. Toni Reinhold got her first full-time reporting job at age 19 at a weekly newspaper in Brooklyn. She also freelanced for the New York Daily News and radio stations WNBC and WHN. She was available for assignments at all hours, often working around the clock on breaking news while building a reputation as an investigative reporter. She joined the Newswomen's Club of New York in her early 20s after a male editor refused to let her go overseas on a story she had worked for months. He said the overseas leg of it was a job, guess what, for a man. In 2009, she became president of the Newswomen's Club. She took it on when it was nearly bankrupt and membership had dropped dramatically. The club is now more than solvent and membership rolls are soaring. Women will face many of the same challenges as when the Newswomen's Club was established in 1922, she says. They still face, many of the same challenges. The club's mission is to promote the development and advancement of women in journalism. How could that not be relevant today, she asks. May I present Toni Reinhold.
Thank you. Madam President, Your Excellency, Rita. Yo, Dan. Honored guests. For reporters, a lot of what we do is about context. And so if we look at the context here tonight, you might ask why newswomen count, why reporters count in this context. But like the team from HDNet that was awarded here tonight, we tell the stories about the things you're most passionate about. And we like to think that when we're moved by those stories, we help move you and others to action. So my being here tonight is about the Newswomen's Club of New York. Indulge me, I'm from Brooklyn. I have to tell you a little story. The Newswomen's Club of New York was established in 1922 by a group of upstart newspaper women like Emma Bugme. Emma started her career in the latter part of the 19th century, and by 1912 she was hoofing it with thousands of suffragists to Albany on a march to demand the vote. And with every step Emma took, she said, I can do this. I'm very good at this. I'm telling this story. And like some of the women who are here tonight, Edie Lederer, Lisa Anderson, Roz Massow, she kicked doors open for us. And in 1938, at a time when women still weren't allowed mostly in newsrooms, their desks were in the halls, on other floors. They weren't allowed into the press clubs, which is why they started the Newswomen's Club of New York to begin with. They started the Front Page Awards because it was so unusual for a woman, despite the fact that they were covering many of the major stories of the day, to get a byline on the front page. And so it went. During the Great Depression, they had a relief fund. They paid rent for newswomen who lost their jobs. During the wars, they paid rent. They advanced families money to survive. They helped soldiers and newswomen and newsmen returning home from the war. And so it went over the years, and when I was 24, someone said, you know what? You don't know how to deal with the fact that this guy said you can't go overseas because that's a man's job. You better join the Newswomen's Club, and they'll teach you what to do. And so I ended up serving on the board after a number of years, and then sort of went on my way and remained a member. And then in 2008, I heard something that disturbed me greatly. The famous Front Page Awards which are among the most prestigious journalism awards in the world, and among the very few that recognize excellence by newswomen, photographers, columnists, reporters, cartoonists, and the whole gamut, wasn't going to be run that year. It had been run through the worst days, and it wasn't going to be run that year. Well, if the front page awards weren't going to be run that year, the Newswomen's Club was going to rapidly die. And the awards were still among the most prestigious in the world. So I put out the word and made a couple of phone calls, and I called a friend who had been the president of the club for a number of years and was a trusted colleague. And I said, what are we going to do? And she said, well, you need to step back and think, maybe it's time for the club to die. So I did. And I called her back the next day and I said, did you ever get a job on merit? Not easily. Are you a token? Before she could answer that, I said, you're two tokens. You're black and you're a woman. And I said, do you get assignments easily when you compete on the basis of merit? Are you crazy? There's no reason for this club to die, babe. We still have the same issues today that they had in 1922. And if this club is going to die, it's going to be the newswomen who bury it. And so we went ahead and we waged an election, and we won it. And the day after the election, I went up to the club. We didn't have a working computer. We had these amazing awards coming up. And I sat down and I looked at the photographs of these women like Emma and Martha Coleman and the women who had founded the club and said, so, and what now? And along the wall were posters. Tickets limited to 1,000. Tickets limited to 800. The newspaper women's ball. The front page awards ball. Come for supper. And I called the board that night and said, we're going to have a party. For all the years I've been a member of this club, we have not had a newswoman of the year. We have not had a reporter of the year. We have not had a lifetime achievement award. And we're going to have a party this year, and we're going to have those awards. And we did. In 6 weeks, these amazing women put together a party where when we had it that night, people were lined up in the street with checks in their hands to get in, and we had a full house. And last year, we gave, well, I should say, Yodan presented Edie Lederer here, who just had her 45th anniversary with the Associated Press with a Lifetime Achievement Award. And Gretchen Morgensen from the New York Times with the Reporter of the Year Award. And so it goes. So we count, and we still have the same issues, and the message is, by extension from us, for all newswomen in the world, to never settle for anything short of meritocracy. Tokenism isn't good for any of us. To demand equal pay for equal work. They deserve it. And to demand parity in assignments. And to be prepared when it doesn't come right away to fight the good fight and take it to victory. So before I leave you, I just want to recognize the women at this table, because they are among the ones who revived this very vital organization, which is going to celebrate its 90th anniversary next year. Jan Pascal, Lion Calandra, Roz Massow, and here we have Edie Lederer, Lisa Anderson, another amazing journalist, and Sonia Fry, who is the director of the Overseas Press Club, who, after I finished talking to the dead newswomen that day in the office, I called her and said, so we're going to do this, and she said, how can I help? And she's been there for us all along. And Barbara Mantell, who is our membership chair, who has stepped away from the table, but she's here tonight. So thank you. Oh, and Rita, where are you, Rita? Rita's on the board. Thank you all.